let's try another one, because I did have better luck with different ones. So let's go do castle style. So we're going to do a stone castle. Stone castle. Look at my cheat sheet here. On the edge. Huh, interesting. Alright, so there you go, we have, if you zoom in here, kind of see we have a stone castle with walls, which is pretty cool looking. It'll connect if you fill in the right spots, it'll connect them. So that's how you do the square buildings, the square tiles for terrain tool. So let's look at how you do like a cave. So we're going to do one of these caves here. So let's do one cave. There's kind of how you do a cave. Let me pull this over here so I can cheat sheet it. So we're gonna let's do this blue cave here. This one's cool. So you kind of go around the outline of the edge here. And unfortunately, this one's not totally perfect either, but it still looks pretty good. Do these little corners here. Do one tile here. I think you do that like that. So we're going to actually do, delete this guy here. So the cave you would actually want to have a black background. So you'd want to change out this background here to be black. So we can delete that. So there you go. There's your cave. And one thing we can do is maybe make the interior of the cave what does this do if we fill this all the way in? Oops. Kind of looks a little weird. So really, a lot of it's just tweaking with it until you get the right tiles you like, but let's do it like this. And then there. Do a little bit larger square tile. Really, you can make, it's nice because you can make dungeons pretty easily, and you end up with a decent looking tile set. So let's do one more for an outside like cliff. This is another one that took me a little bit to figure out. There's kind of our cave. So let's do one of these outside cliffs, which is one of these guys here. Delete this. We'll go back to doing a grass layer. So this guy. So we're going to do cliff. So cliff is basically, let me get her. Here's our cliff that we were using. The outline of this guy. Alright, close. Terrains, tower 2, cliff. So there you go, kind of with the cliff, and this could be used to build outdoor walls and whatnot. So it looks pretty good, but it's definitely not as good as the original tile, because you can see here this tile, it had the top part, which is what we're making, but then it had the wall. And the problem is the wall isn't going to show up automatically with the terrain tool, just because of the logic, how the terrain tool works. So what we have to do to get the wall to show up is use a thing called AutoMapping. Basically, AutoMapping is setting rules. So basically, if you have, what it does is it will scan through the map, and you can basically set rules. So if you show this tile here in the map, it will add in these additional tiles as an output. So what we can do, we can use that to basically add in the walls for our tiles that we did using the terrain tool. So it's actually pretty cool. But it is a little bit more tedious to set up. So I'm going to go through and set that up and show you how to set that up. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to make a new map, which is going to define our AutoMap rules. So it doesn't have to be very large because we're just setting up the rules. We're not actually making the map. And then basically what we're going to do is we'll drag in our same tile sheet. So we're going to do the same map. Does this have the walls? Now let's do it for the cave, because the cave is one I haven't done yet. So let's do it for like this, which cave do we want to do? Is this the right one? Let's delete this. Let's try this one over. So let's do it for this, this regular cliff here. So the first thing we need to do is make a bunch of layers. So the first layer is called regions. The next layer is going to be called input, and then we're going to call this set as like our kind of our input layer. Input not set, and then we're going to do output wall. So regions basically we're saying kind of all the rules we want. So basically it's going to be the regions is both the input and the output tiles. So you're basically kind of saying these are the areas where the rules are going to be applied. And one thing I've noticed is for these walls it seems to only work if each individual column is separated. If you have it all in a clump exactly like this, the rule doesn't work. So what we do is we're going to separate these out into 4 different separate columns. So we're on our regions, and then I'm just going to do this so that we can tell it's regions and not the actual tile. Let's just make them all red, just so they're completely different. So the input set, what we make in our terrain map, is just this little lip of the cliff, the edge. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that here on the top. The input not set is everything that's not currently set. So I'm not totally sure exactly why you need this yet, but I've only seen to make it work when this is in there. So we're going to add in the tiles that aren't there. And then finally the output is going to be everything. So we're going to have both the input and the output. Alright, so there what we did is we have kind of our input is just the top of the lip of the cliff, and then the output is the rest of the cliff. So we're going to save this guy, and I'm going to save this as wall AutoMap. Alright, so then what we do is we need to basically define a text file that sets up all our rules. So we'll go to here, and here's kind of our directory. We've been saving everything. So tile work, so we're going to make a rules file, and we're just going to put our wall AutoMap in there. So right here, it's just kind of local file called wall AutoMap. So now we're going to make a new map. Actually, I want to make it a little bit larger than that. Let's do 50 by 50, okay. Same tile set as before. And what we're going to do is we're just going to test our rule out. So the layer has to be called set, because this is the input layer. Just put a tile here, and then we hit A. So we need to save this in the same directory as our rules. So here we are in our tile work. We'll call this cliff test. Hit A, and there we go. It filled in the rest of the cliff. So if we draw that whole lip, bam, fills in the cliff, which is pretty cool, but it doesn't look good yet. So now what we need to do is do it using the terrain features that we did before. So we'll call this cliff. I think it was basically like this. Close. Terrains. So first let's just make a grass background. So we have that. Grass. Go to our terrains on our set layer. Oh, this might not work. I think it needs to be its own layer for the background. So call this grass. Grass. And then we go to set. And we're going to do our terrains. Use the terrain tool. Cliff. Draw some cliffs. And then what we do to run the AutoMap is you can either map AutoMap or just hit A. So hit A, bam, made the cliffs. Look at that. So one thing to note is it adds it in its own layer, so you can hide it like that. And one thing to also note is once you do the AutoMap and then you start drawing again, this layer's on top. So you want to probably delete that layer and then rerun it. So one thing is you get, kind of weird looking behavior right here. That looks kind of messed up there. So you still have to be a little bit, might have to do some manual editing with your map, like places like that. But overall it works pretty great, so that's pretty cool. So let me delete this set again, and tile layer set, so we can make a cool looking cave or cliff. There we go. Pretty cool. So that's how you can make use these tile sets to make pretty cool looking output.